Do you ever feel like there's more to you than meets the eye? Like maybe there's parts of yourself that you don't always show, or even sometimes think about. Today, my friends, I wanted to explore this really interesting concept, this idea. It's often referred to as our shadow side. Sounds a bit ominous. Shadow side. So, there's a very famous psychiatrist who goes by the name of Carl Jung. I'm sure a lot of you will recognize that name. And he really delved into this concept. And it offers us just a different way to understand why we are the way we are, why you are the way you are. And we all put on a bit of a show, I guess, to the world. We try to present our best selves, the parts that we're proud of, and the qualities that we think other people might like. We're all about showing our good side, right? But what about those other feelings that sometimes appear? Maybe a little envy when a friend achieves something amazing, or that flash of anger when somebody cuts you off in traffic. That one usually gets me. And what about those thoughts that we're not so keen to admit to, and those little impulses that we try to ignore? This would suggest that they don't just appear and then disappear, which means that they're still there under the surface, in the depths of our mind, our subconscious. And they can actually influence us in ways that we might not even realize. Now, when we talk about this shadow, it's not just a dusty corner filled with all the negative stuff. It's not just all the bits that we label or are taught to label as bad. And what's really fascinating, to me at least, is what else can be lurking beneath the surface, in that deeper part of our minds. I mean, it could be a really creative spark, a talent for something that you never even explored because somebody told you that it wasn't practical, or you're not going to make money through that, so you just buried it. Or maybe it's a healthy sense of assertiveness, a natural instinct to stand up for yourself and the things that you believe in. But somewhere along the line, somebody told you that expressing anger or disagreement was wrong, so you learnt to suppress it. It can even be that part of you that just wants to let loose and have fun, be spontaneous or playful, and the world has made you more serious and reserved. Jung's work really opened up this idea that there's a whole universe of less obvious aspects within us all. You know, when we consistently avoid looking at these hidden aspects of ourselves, these hidden parts, when we try to keep them, locked down in the basement of our mind, they have a funny way of trying to get our attention. Sometimes they'll surface in little explosions, like I'm sure all of us at some point or the other has reacted to a situation in a way that is way out of proportion. Like someone makes a tiny comment or there's a minor inconvenience, and suddenly you're feeling this surge of emotion. And then once it's all over with, you're kind of left thinking, whoa, where did that come from? And it's often those unacknowledged feelings or unmet needs kind of bubbling up in a way that doesn't quite fit the situation. Another common example, and this was me, is somebody who is always trying to please everyone. They say yes to every request. They don't want to disappoint anyone. On the surface, to you, they might seem like just a really nice, agreeable person. But if you look a little more closely, you might sense this underlying tension or wariness. It could be that their hidden side is actually screaming out for them to set more boundaries, to say no more often, and to finally prioritize their own well-being. That need for self-care doesn't just disappear because somebody's nice. It might come out as feeling resentful towards others, or constantly feeling taken advantage of, and eventually just complete burnout. The shadow has this way of manifesting in unexpected and often really negative ways when it's consistently ignored. Or another one, and I'm sure all of us know somebody who is like this, somebody who is always quick to judge others, constantly finding fault, always ready with that critique. What's really interesting to consider as Jung pointed out, is that they might actually be seeing their own insecurities just being reflected back onto them. It's almost like a distorted mirror. The things that really irritate us about other people, the qualities that sometimes we are also quick to point out and to criticize, can often be the very things that we're trying to avoid acknowledging within ourselves. It's like we're holding up a mirror of ourselves against the people around us, and sometimes the reflection that we see isn't what we expect or want to admit. So that leads us on to a very important question, which is, why bother going there? Why bother looking at this hidden side of ourselves? It can feel a bit daunting and maybe a little bit scary. But the fundamental idea is that when we start to understand all the different facets of who we are, including both the parts that we readily embrace and the parts that we're not so keen on, we can actually move towards feeling more complete, more whole, more balanced as an individual. And by trying to live in the light, only acknowledging our good qualities and pushing everything else away, you are massively, and I mean massively, limiting your potential, and also kind of creating this internal friction between the good and the bad. When we have the courage to bring these things into the light, to acknowledge them, to try and understand where they came from, it can actually unlock some incredibly valuable things within us. That anger that you've been suppressing, that you've always labeled as simply bad, might actually be a raw, powerful energy that, when understood and channeled correctly, can be used for so many things. Maybe use it in the gym, or a fierce drive to stand up for what's right in the world. Maybe you have a yearning to be noticed that you might have dismissed as selfish or attention seeking, when this could be the very fuel that ignites your creativity and gives you the courage to share your unique talents and perspectives with the rest of the world. It's about taking that raw and often uncomfortable energy and transforming it into something positive, something constructive. So how do we begin this journey of getting to know our shadow side? It's not a quick fix, unfortunately. It's an ongoing process of self-discovery. And the most important ingredients, if you like, are kindness to yourself and just a really genuine sense of curiosity towards ourselves. One really helpful starting point is to tune into those kind of visceral gut reactions that you have. What specific situations or types of people consistently irritate you, get under your skin? What triggers an unusually strong emotional response to you? And instead of just immediately dismissing that feeling or looking towards somebody else, just try taking a pause for a second and ask yourself, why is this affecting me so deeply? What might that be reflecting back at you about your own inner landscape? Another really effective starting practice, and this one definitely takes a bit more conscious effort, is to start paying close attention to the stories that you tell yourself about other people. When you notice yourself labeling someone as, lazy or bossy or irritable, or any other strong judgment that feels almost automatic, again, just take a moment to pause and gently ask yourself, is there a tiny part of you, a hidden corner of your experience, that might also feel that way sometimes? And it's not about saying that you are bossy or you are lazy, or about excusing harmful behavior, both in yourself and others, but instead about acknowledging those feelings, those tendencies, and realizing that they are just part of the complex and often messy human experience, and recognizing them in others can sometimes be a really surprising doorway to develop a deeper understanding of ourselves. Some people like to explore some more creative avenues, things like drawing and writing, without the pressure of producing something that's good. Journaling can help a lot, actually. a lot. There's apps you can get now where you can just set a reminder. And even if you just write a sentence or two about the observations throughout the day you have noticed about yourself. Our unconscious often communicates in symbols, in images, in metaphors. And the key here is to just let go of control. Just allow whatever wants to come out to flow. Observe it with a sense of open curiosity and see if any unexpected insights start to appear. Now, there are many, many other ways that you can begin. Far too many for me to go through in this video. But the main thing is just starting, beginning your journey, and remembering that this isn't about embarking on a quest to find all the bad things within yourself and then maybe feeling guilty or ashamed. It's about cultivating a deeper, a more compassionate understanding of the whole, complete human being that you are, with all of its strengths and its perceived weaknesses, the light and the shadow, approaching yourself with kindness and genuine curiosity, with the desire for self-awareness rather than self-criticism. This can really lead to a greater sense of self-acceptance, of inner peace. Now, I'm curious, what's one small thing, even just a flicker of curiosity, that you might be feeling about yourself right now? I really encourage you to reflect on that. And also, if you feel comfortable, share your thoughts in the comments below. That could be the beginning of your journey. I'd like to thank you for joining me today, and until then, I will see you next time.